Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Select Board meeting for Tuesday, October 21st. The time is 7:02. Just for public notice, we had executive session prior to this meeting, and we're out of the executive session. Now we're going into a regular public hearing. At this time, I invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. The first scheduled item on a public hearing is National Grid Verizon Joint Old Pole Petition, Andover Street, Pole 7150. You see right up here, sir. Welcome again. Just your name and your association and for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Alec Birdsong. I'm here to represent National Grid in this matter. The address is 1101 Turnpike Street in North Andover.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave the floor to you, sir. So
Okay.
you get an updated poll petition?
Yes. My understanding is that the issue last time was that the pole was going to be installed in the middle of the sidewalk, and that was the only issue that needed to be addressed. We will be moving it to the back of the sidewalk, and the pole will be installed between 71 and 72 on Andover Street.
Okay. All right. I'm going to open it up to the board. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Mr. Mackey?
Thank you, and I appreciate you guys taking a look at this. So it's going to be moved to the back of the sidewalk, so based on the information, it is still going to be in the sidewalk.
It can be on the back, on the very back side of the sidewalk if that's where you want it. We want to kind of keep the poles in line as much as possible. So that's the mark kind of shows you where it was. I don't know if you saw where the mark was.
Yeah, the image is right here.
Yeah, so that's what we were going to do. But if you want it moved back, I can do that as well.
Yeah, so the goal is to keep it out of the sidewalk. So the
Okay.
discussion last time, and I know we've had multiple discussions on it, is we're trying to get them out of the sidewalk. We don't want to cut the sidewalk at all to install a pole,
Okay.
because we're still trying to remove poles from the sidewalk space.
Okay.
So if it already went back 2 feet, can it go back another, it looks like 2 feet, so it is not encroaching on the sidewalk?
I would say yes, it can. That shouldn't be a problem. My only concern would be the trees. If there's any trees, tree trimming, stuff like that. I don't know how important that is to you all.
I think we'd like to see the proposal and what it's going to take.
Okay.
But yeah, again, the objective here, or at least my objective, was to keep it out of the sidewalk.
Okay.
So that would be my concern. And again, I do appreciate it moving, but I would like to see if it's possible to not put a pole in the sidewalk. No cutting
all.
of the sidewalk to,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other comments?
I guess, I'm sort of in agreement with Mr. Mackey. However, I'm just by looking at sort of the DPW opinion on this, while the condition is not ideal, there were no other alternatives for the required installation. So, pushing it back another 2 feet, based on this, Mr. Hardiman is saying that there is no other alternative. So, Mr. Curran, I don't know if there's further conversation that has to happen, because, National Grid can come back and say, hey, we can do this, but the DPW is saying there isn't an alternative. So
So that was asked during the last meeting.
I know.
And he said there were alternatives, and this is a proposed alternative. So,
Right. But another alternative to this, because I think it was right in the middle of it last month when we looked at this.
It's more to the back. I think that the designer is having an issue with having to put in anchors and things like that, because we're creating an angle right there. And to me, that would be encroaching even further onto property.
and just to clarify, this memo is from before our last meeting.
Memo, yes.
So this is not an updated memo with the new.
Okay, fair enough, good point.
Any other comments or concerns?
If you look at item 3 on Mr. Hardiman's letter, it also says if we decided to improve the sidewalk, they're going to have to move the pole. So it doesn't make, to me, looking at the picture, you only have to move it back maybe 12 inches.
Just off the pavement on the
Yeah.
backside in the right of way. If you stay in the grass area, you're moving it again, 12, 18 inches.
Yeah.
you're not going to get much deflection.
Yeah, I don't think so, but when he's at 2 feet, that kind of made it more of a concern. But a few inches probably really won't make too much of a difference.
Yeah, if you look.
Yeah, it's
at
like right
this,
on the edge.
Just on the backside of the grass, if we can keep it in that way, just for snow removal and pedestrian access as it is a walk, it is right next to a school, so.
And just for clarification, I've sat on this board for quite a while, and we've had numerous poll petitions come in front of us where I've seen the same thing, saying there's no option to move that pole. We've argued, and all of a sudden, the pole has an option. We did it on Shawshene Street, when we put the sidewalk, they put the poles in the sidewalks, I argued with them, and all of a sudden, the poles were moved to the back of the sidewalk. If we can talk to your engineering, to clarify how important it is, rather than putting a basic statement saying we don't have an option. There's always an option. You know, I can't imagine why a pole would need to go in the sidewalk which would cause problems with people with ADA requirements, with people in wheelchairs, snow plowing, cleaning sidewalks. It just causes numerous problems within the community. The residents have asked for sidewalks in this community, and we expect to have them year-round. And if we have a pole on the sidewalk and we're plowing during the winter, what they tend to do is they drive around it. And then there's a big pile of snow out there where the pole is. It causes a problem, and I just don't want to have that. I think the whole board is on the same page that we want accessible sidewalks in this community, and the residents deserve that. So, you know, as long as you know that, and you can bring it back, if you can speak with your engineering when they're submitting these type of plans, you know you're going to get it when you come in front of us. So, you know, why save yourself a trip? You know, just know what we're looking for. Anytime there's sidewalks, even if there's sidewalks not there, we want it so that if sidewalks are going to be installed at some point, we want it back so that if there are sidewalks put there in the future, that we will not have to relocate a pole. It gets expensive, there's no need for it, and if you have a right-of-way and an easement, there's no reason why we can't put them back there in the first place. So,
Okay, would you want to approve with that stipulation of just moving it back 18 inches or so?
I'll let the board make a recommendation. It sounds like.
I defer to Eric, this is your
Again,
area. so-
I would say back of sidewalk, I mean, town engineers here, if we can place it, if you look based upon the right of way, I think there's probably a few feet in the back sidewalk there that we could just place
Utilize.
the pole off the back of the
Okay.
current asphalt. I think you'll be fine there. You're really talking maybe less than a foot from this photo.
Well, we have the town engineer. Would you like to, is that acceptable?
So I didn't review this, so I don't know what Kevin Hardiman saw as far as limitations from his letter. But generally, what you said, Mr. Kratman, I'm in total agreement with. Basically, if we can install utility poles outside of where a potential future sidewalk would be located, or an existing sidewalk, then that would be preferable for the reasons that you stated, such as snow removal and ADA compliance.
And they're saying they can. So as long as that's acceptable to you, we'll take a vote on it that way. So
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve to relocate the pole just off the asphalt. If there is a situation that is not possible when the crews get there, obviously, we would have to notify the town that for whatever reason you can't. But according to this picture, when I went by and looked at it, there's not a significant amount. There might be a branch or two. You're not talking, you have to take a whole tree down to get that in that location.
So my only concern with that is the whole emergency provision. If they're not able to, I'd like them to come back. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. If they're unable to, if the crews get there and are unable for whatever reason, they dig, they hit a massive, ledge, something, fill the hole back in and come back to us and say, we've done what we tried to do, what the board tried to do, and
come back in front of us.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all, and I don't think anybody else will either.
So it sounds
We could-
like,
Would that
if we
be
could-
okay in that
We
form
could
of
amend it,
motion?
yeah, that there is the sidewalk cannot be cut unless they come back to us, then I'm good.
Absolutely.
so I got a motion by Mr. Ryder, second by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much for working with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Next item we have is Applebee's Neighborhood Bar and Grill, 85 Main Street. Change of manager. Right. Your name and organization for the record, please.
Melissa Legere, General Manager at Applebee's, Tewksbury.
I'm Frank Matarana. I'm actually the area director for Maine, but the area director for the Massachusetts area is on vacation, so I'm just kind of here for moral support, guidance, and I assure you we will not be putting a pole on our sidewalk.
That'll be helpful. All right, well, we're going to give the floor to you. Just explain exactly what you're looking to do, and then we'll take a vote on it.
So recently, Melissa's taken over that restaurant as the general manager. Done some really good things. I encourage you guys to visit. The manager that was on the liquor license has transferred to our dairy location. So our home office kind of went through the process of transferring her name onto the liquor license, and that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish.
All right. I'll open it up to the board. Any questions or concerns on the application?
Mr. Chairman, I think this looks pretty standard transfer. All I do is have a question on, you are tip certified and all your employees are tip certified, I believe.
All our servers and all our front of the house goes through, it's called Responsible Serve Alcohol. Every September, we renew that through our training process that is required for Applebee's.
Okay, and how long have you been with doing this?
I've been with Applebee's for 17 years.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Tewksbury for 17
And
years.
yeah, I've been in Tewksbury for 17 years. I started off there as a host and worked my way up.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard on this? No. All right, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Get a motion by Mr. Mackey, second by Mr. Russo. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Do I have any motions on this matter?
Motion to approve the change of manager for Applebee's at 85 Main Street.
Second that.
We got a motion by Mr. Mackey, second by Mr. Ryder. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we have residents. Any residents that would like to be heard? Seeing none, we go to new business. Mr. Curran, with the new business town notice of resale.
Yes, so this is kind of a routine thing. It's a notice about a property that was set up through 40B 51 Nolan Court, Unit 51. It is they're looking to sell it. And I think I had a conversation with you, Mr. Chairman, about possibly reaching out to the Housing Authority and seeing if they have any interest in the property. Or if not, if they don't have any interest in the property, is any interest in the board looking at this through the Housing Trust? So it's $258,000 value. It's a 90-day process, so we have 90 days to basically notifying that we're either going to take no action or move forward. So if you would like me to pursue those two venues and then come back and see if the board, is there a willingness for the board to pursue that property? If the Housing Authority is not willing to pay for it, would we want to go the route of, but then turning it over to the Housing Authority, because we don't want to get in the business of managing housing. But it would preserve a unit.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
If the town was to opt to use affordable housing funds to purchase this as an affordable unit, I would just like an agreement from the housing authority that they're willing to manage
And
in perpetuity.
just as a caveat, I know that, I think in the past, this has been attempted, and the Housing Authority chose not to even have it turned over to them, so I don't know if, so we might run into that again, but it's worth trying it, I guess.
What is the purpose of the housing authority? Doesn't make any sense to me. But they still, this is on the market right now, and they could find an eligible buyer, correct?
Well, what typically happens, if we choose not to pursue it, they will sell it for market rate. And then I believe the difference goes to the housing. It's the difference between the affordable price and the market rate price goes into the housing trust.
Okay. I can't believe somebody wouldn't go for the $258,000.
Well,
We're trying to make,
They have to be eligible under CF.
well, that's the
Yeah,
thing, and I
yeah.
mean, you keep hearing people, I can't afford, I can't afford, I can't afford. Well, here's something you can afford. Act on it.
Yeah.
well, I know in the past, we have done this with other units. I know we had a couple up in Merrimack Meadows, we had a couple in other places where we've used the Affordable Trust Fund, and we've bought units in. We keep them, it helps us with our numbers, and we have to stay above that 10%. So this is for $258,000. I think that's a great use of, that's what it's for. And I would hope that a conversation with our housing board would understand that and be willing to do that, but I'll leave it up to the board. But like I said, you're not going to get an affordable unit in this town for under $300,000. It'd be kind of silly for us to say no.
I think we should move forward with Mr. Curran's proposal, where he reaches out to the Affordable Housing Trust. We see if they're interested. Again, I know we've done this in the past, so I would, again, like to preserve that affordable unit whenever we can. So yes, I would make a motion to have Mr. Curran reach out to the Affordable Housing Trust and see if, I'm sorry, Housing Authority, thank you, and see if they're interested. Hopefully they are, and then if they are, we can follow up and discuss the release of funds to purchase that.
Okay.
So just for clarification, so I'll reach out to them, ask them if they're willing to purchase it. In the event that they say no, said if we purchase it, will you accept it if we turn it over?
Correct. I'll second that motion.
Okay, so I got a motion by Mr. Mackey, second by Mr. Ryder. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Mr. Curran, I'd like to put a notice on this that we also bring it back in that, because we have a 30-day window on this.
Right.
So we put it on the next agenda as well.
The next
So we-
agenda for an update,
Yeah, so we have an
regardless.
update
Yeah.
on wherever we stand on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, debt stabilization policy.
Okay, so in your packet, I gave you a copy of the whole financial management policy. In it, on the third page in, under section 2, item 4, I added a section that is consistent with what we did at town meeting to memorialize the policy. So at least 25% of the remaining certified free cash will be placed in debt stabilization fund, or 1 million, whichever is greater. So basically, like, if you take the way it will work and has worked in the last few years is that if the free cash was roughly 10 million this year, you take out 600, put aside for snow and ice, then you take out 25% for one-time capital expenditures, and 25% for stabilization, and then 25% of the remainder for debt stabilization. And so that's the recommendation, and that's it. That's what I have.
Right. Any questions or concerns from the board?
Just one question, Mr. Curran, does that help us with our credit rating at all, in terms of, with our bond rating, I guess?
I mean, in theory, it should, because we're increasing our reserves by doing that.
Okay.
So they look at the total amount of reserves, not necessarily where the reserves are. So if you're increasing them, that should help.
Okay.
We just had a rating call, so we haven't received the rating yet. I think I put that in my town manager's report. And, you know, we're just one below a AAA bond rating.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they come back at, but we keep trying to move us up to that AAA. That's where we want to be.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions, Mr. Mackey?
So the only change or red line for this is the addition of this being item 4.
Yes.
Correct? And then
Yes.
the numbers below. No other changes to the policy?
No other changes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
I'm good.
If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the debt stabilization policy provided by Mr. Curran.
I got a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Whipple and Pine Traffic Mitigation Study.
Second to share my screen.
Excuse me for 1 second. Brian, does this go out on the online? Thank you.
You all see that now?
Yep.
Uh,
All right, name and
Andrew Stack, Town Engineer.
floor is yours, sir.
All right, so it was listed on the agenda as a traffic mitigation study. It was more of a safety improvement project than a traffic study, but, so here's an aerial image of the Whipple Road at Pine Street intersection. So this is the intersection right next to the Tewksbury DPW. Whipple Road is primarily north-south. Pine Street runs east-west. Whipple Road is a free-flowing roadway, while Pine Street is stop-controlled. If you look at this image here, you can see the corners of that intersection, a fairly expansive paved area there. Make note of the distance of the stop bars on Pine Street from the Whipple Road intersection. So some of the existing issues at this intersection are the less than optimal roadway geometry. The intersection has poor sight distances, and the previously mentioned stop bars are set back a good distance from the intersection. Those large radius corners, which can promote higher vehicle speeds around those corners versus a smaller radius corner. There's a significant number of motor vehicle accidents at this intersection. The traffic study showed that there was 38 crashes over the 5-year study period. And that's just reported crashes. There could be more that were unreported. So an engineering study was performed by TEC in July of this year to determine if a traffic signal is warranted at this intersection. Traffic volume data was obtained from turning movement counts and automatic traffic recorder counts taken in June of this year. The speed limits on this roadway are posted at 35 miles per hour along Whipple Road. The average recorded speed was 31 miles per hour for vehicles heading northbound, which is towards Lowell, 35 miles per hour southbound headed towards Wilmington, Billerica. 85th percentile speeds were recorded at 35 miles per hour for northbound traffic and 38 miles per hour for southbound traffic. So TEC looked at the stopping site distances, which would be the distances on Whipple Road. So those would be the minimum distances required for a driver traveling along Whipple Road to perceive an object in the roadway, react to that object, and safely stop in advance of the object on a wet pavement surface. So they looked at it for both directions of travel. Whipple Road northbound at the operating speed of 35 miles per hour, which is that 85th percentile speed I mentioned earlier. The AASHTO recommended minimum stopping sight distance is 250 feet. The measured stopping sight distance was greater than 500 feet. Similarly, the southbound at the operating speed of 38 miles per hour has a 280-foot recommended minimum stopping sight distance, and the measured distances, stopping sight distances, was also over 500. So no issues on that with those stopping sight distances. But then we get to the intersection sight distances, which is the sight distances on Pine Street. So the intersection sight distances are the length of roadway that's visible to a driver waiting to exit the minor street. And it's based on the distance required for the driver to exit the minor street onto the major street without the major street traffic needing to reduce its speed from the design speed to less than 70% of that design speed. So, my screen go out?
Yeah, it looked like it was fading and then it went out. So,
Try it again.
there it is.
Very good. So Pine Street, eastbound looking north, so that would be, eastbound would be coming from the DPW side of Pine Street, looking left towards Lowell. So the operating speed is 38 miles per hour. The AASHTO desired minimum stopping sight distance is 420 feet. The minimum recommended stopping sight distance is 280. Keep going out. And the measured stopping sight distance was only 250 feet, which is less than the AASHTO recommended minimums. Eastbound looking south, so coming from the DPW side looking towards the Billerica Wilmington side, the AASHTO desired minimum is 385 feet. Recommended minimum is 250 feet, but the measured sight distance was only 185 feet. Westbound was, Pine Street westbound was better, where the westbound looking north towards Wilmington, Lowell, sorry. Sorry. Westbound looking north towards Lowell, the recommended minimum is 280 feet and they had 435 feet of sight distance. Looking south, the desired minimum is 385 feet, recommended minimum was 250, and they had greater than 500 feet. So it's just that eastbound coming from the DPW side of Pine Street where the sight distance is problematic. So this is a photo from that approach eastbound looking towards the north, towards Lowell. So it is restricted by the curvature of the roadway, and vegetation along the roadway edge restricts that sight line. We did recently clear some vegetation along that corner, so that sight distance is greatly improved for that northbound looking direction. Looking southbound is restricted by steep grades and vegetation on that corner, which restricts the sight line to only 185 feet. And the condition's exacerbated by the location of the stop line, which is set back from the travel way. So this causes people to stop and then creep forward to get a better view of the oncoming traffic before making a decision to pull onto Whipple Road or across Whipple Road. So TEC, as part of this investigation, performed a traffic signal warrant analysis, and they reviewed all 9 MUTCD warrants for traffic signals. Those 9 warrants are shown there, include 8-hour volume, 4-hour volume, peak hour volumes, pedestrian volumes, school crossings, coordinated traffic signal systems, crash experience, the roadway networking, intersections near grade crossings. Many of these are not really applicable to this intersection, but based on the data collected, the intersection does not meet the MUTCD warrant criteria for a traffic signal. So TEC looked further into this and investigated whether or not always stop control would be a viable option at this intersection. So they looked at it based on similar MUTCD guidance and reviewed the applicable warrants for the intersection, which are noted below. And warrant A is crash experience, and this this warrant was met due to the number of correctable crashes during the most recent 12-month period and during the most recent 36-month period. Those correctable crashes that could be corrected by an always stop control change are those angle crashes. Warrant B, site distance, was also met due to the issue with the site distances from that Pine Street westbound approach. Warrant D, 8-hour traffic volumes, was not met due to not meeting the minimum volume thresholds of that warrant. But based on their warrant analysis, the intersection does meet the criteria for always stop control. So this is just a little.
Can I just ask you a question about that?
Sure.
If you go back to the other slide. So the purpose of the warrants is to determine what the level of remediation is. So in this case, it's a four-way stop. What would have been required under these different warrants for it to be like a stoplight? I mean, a traffic signal.
So it would have had to have met one of these warrants here. So one of these 8 warrants. So the intersection doesn't have the traffic volumes needed for this, and even the crash experience didn't meet the threshold, which would have been the one that you would have thought would have been the most likely warrant for this intersection, but even that one didn't meet that threshold.
Okay.
Like the intersection near a grade crossing, that's related to like railroad crossings and coordinated signal systems. That's intersections that would be where the signal's coordinated with other traffic signals, which if a signal was installed here, it wouldn't be coordinated with anything else because there's no other signals in the area. There's minimal pedestrian volumes and school traffic in this area as well. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And so this is a little info sheet from MassDOT, which gives some good information. So why install always stop control? Basically, it's because it requires vehicles on every approach to stop prior to proceeding. It's a cost-effective method to improve safety by reducing the potential for severe crashes. Since every vehicle is going to be stopped, they're going to be going much slower through the intersection versus what we currently have where it's free-flowing on Whipple Road. It's typically used where both intersecting roads experience similar volumes of traffic and there's a crash trend. We have a little dissimilar volumes on Whipple and Pine, but it still has a significant number of crashes that it would be beneficial to this change. Again, it's a low-cost countermeasure to mitigate these types of angled crashes. It improves interactions between vehicles and vulnerable road users such as pedestrians and cyclists, since all the vehicular traffic has to stop, so they're going to be going much slower through that intersection. And the big thing that is addressed with this intersection is the approaches with inadequate sight distances are allocated right of way. Some of the benefits, the Delaware Department of Transportation did a before and after study of conversion of 20 different intersections to all-way stop control in that state, and it showed a 90% reduction in injury crashes and a 71% reduction in all crashes. In a 2010 study of 53 locations in North Carolina, showed that the number of crashes reduced by 68%, and the fatal and injury crashes were reduced by 77%. So we looked at conceptual design for all-way stop control at this intersection. I know this is probably tough to see. It's in your info packet as well. I'll go into some blow-ups in the next slides. So point out some of the key changes. This is kind of oriented a little different than the original aerial image, but, so the DPW would be on the lower right corner on this. So we would be adding stops on all 4 approaches. That would include stop bars, stop legends on all 4 approaches. We would be reducing these curves at the corners, the radiuses, from the large radiuses that are currently out there on all 4 corners. So this is, if you can see my mouse, this is the current corner here. We'd be bringing it in here to, it varies from 25 to 40 foot radiuses on the different corners, which is more in line with what you would see in like a new subdivision, for example. We would add LED stop signs. That's what we're proposing. If you're not familiar with LED stop sign, they're basically a stop sign with a flashing red lights around the perimeter of the sign, which hopefully grabs your attention a little more, especially on an intersection where there wasn't previously a stop sign. So we would be looking to do those LED stop signs on potentially all 4 approaches, and potentially on both sides of the streets on all 4 approaches. Additionally, we would be adding asphalt berm along those the corners of those intersections, and bringing in the stop bars on the 2 Pine Street approaches. So if you can see where my mouse is, that's would be where the existing stop bar is, and we'd be moving it in closer to improve the sight distances, which wouldn't be as critical if all 4 approaches are stopping, but it would definitely still be helpful for driver safety. In addition to the changes at the intersection itself, in advance of the stops on Whipple Road, on the 2 Whipple Road approaches, there would be stop ahead legends painted on the roadway. There would be additional signage, which would be a proposed stop ahead, new stop ahead with the orange markers on the object markers on those signs. I'll show you examples of those in a second. We would also put variable message boards out in advance of any changes. So we'd probably have a message similar to new traffic pattern coming soon, or new traffic pattern with, if we know the exact date, we could include that on the message board. That would be likely posted for a couple weeks prior to the change. After the change is implemented, that message would change to new traffic pattern, always stop ahead. There would also be additional signage posted on the 2 Whipple Road approaches, just regular aluminum signs that indicate new traffic pattern. So other local communities that converted from 2-way stop control to all-way stop control include our neighbor Billerica. They did this, not sure how long ago, probably a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, it was about, let's say 2 years ago.
At Salem Road at Gray Street, which is, if you continue down Chandler Street into Billerica, that becomes Gray Street. So they were successful in converting that intersection from 2-way stop control to all-way stop control. And they did those LED stop signs on both sides of those, all 4 approaches, advanced stops ahead signage. They did install stop ahead pavement markings as well, along with stop lines. Speaking with the Billerica town engineer, she also indicated that they deployed variable message boards similar to what Tewksbury would likely do if we do go forward with this. They also installed cones and narrow plastic drums along the center line of the roadway, just to make people driving through the intersection aware that something's changed, pay attention. An issue that she did bring up to me is the LED stop signs are solar powered, and as a result, they do stop flashing at times because they are solar powered. So if you get periods of cloudiness, it may not have enough juice to power it to flash. And she did also mention that sometimes the flashing gets out of sequence with each other. So it's more of a annoyance thing than anything else. This is an example of an advanced message that can be posted on the message boards. This is in New Hampshire. An example of the stop ahead signs with the new placard and the orange marker signs, just to try to grab your attention. It's on both sides of the roadway. And the actual stop sign shown on both sides of the street with the all white placards, the new placards and the orange markers. Currently, MassDOT has a materials procurement project. Whipple Road at Pine Street originally was not identified as being eligible to participate in this program, but after much begging from me, they recently added it to the eligible list. Under this program, MassDOT will provide materials to assist municipalities with conversion of intersections from two-way stop control to all-way stop control. And the materials that they would provide include static or LED stop signs with the all-way placards, the stop ahead signs, new traffic pattern signs, signposts, and signpost reflectors. So under this program, materials delivery is targeted for spring 2026, and after delivery, municipalities have 90 days to install those signs. So what would the project costs be if we just did this all outside of any sort of MassDOT grants? So I got a price quote from a local traffic signal vendor, and the solar-powered LED signs with the 4-inch diameter tube posts are approximately $7,700 each. So they're not cheap. We could get away with potentially as few as 2 LED stop signs, one on each Whipple Road approach, but we could have as many as 8 LED stop signs if we're using 2 on each approach, which would be around $61,600. Additional aluminum signage and posts would be around $54.80. Other costs: line striping, legend painting, saw cutting, berm, loam and seed, variable message board would be approximately an additional $42,950 if this was done by an outside contractor. So the total project costs could be around $110,000, which is a lot, but it's also significantly less than a traffic signal. But with this MassDOT sign grant and with DPW doing the installation and doing the things like the saw cutting of the roadway corners, installing berm, loaming and seeding, DPW providing the variable message boards, and installing the signs, the estimated costs would be around $10,000 to the town, which would be primarily line striping and legend painting, which is not covered under the MassDOT program, and DPW doesn't have the in-house capability of doing any line striping or painting work. So potential project schedules. So under the MassDOT materials procurement project, as previously mentioned, the signage delivery would be targeted for spring 2026. There's no guarantees at this point that the town of Tewksbury would be awarded signage as part of this project. But construction, if we did get awarded, those signs would occur in spring 2026. If purchased by the town, we could potentially bump up the schedule sooner, but we would end up paying the full costs and would likely need to utilize either town roadway and sidewalk improvement funds or Chapter 90 funds, which would reduce the amount of roadway paving that we can complete elsewhere in town. And given the time frame that it would take to procure the necessary materials and also time to provide sufficient notice to residents of this upcoming change in traffic pattern. We would potentially run into issues with temperatures being too cold for roadway painting and other winter weather-related issues to construct it at that time of year. So we may potentially, whether we paid for it ourselves or under the procurement project, it might still be a spring 2026 project, no matter which way we go. So advance notice to motorists is going to be a key aspect to this project if we do go forward with it. As previously mentioned, the variable message boards would be posted a couple weeks in advance of any changes, advising new traffic pattern and coming soon or other similar messages. After implementation, those message boards would be changed to new traffic pattern, all-way stop ahead. We would have a campaign through the town website and social media before and after the changes. Signage and pavement markings. This is in addition to the notice that motorists would get by the actual signage and pavement markings that are being installed as part of the project. So stop sign violations after the change. So will that happen? Will people run through these stop signs after we potentially change Whipple Road to a all-way stop control? It's probably going to happen. It's just human nature when you're used to driving through an intersection multiple times every day for 3, 4, 5 decades of your life, just because a stop sign's put up, even if it looks like this with little orange flags on it, with a flashing red light above you. I've seen people drive through this intersection in this picture without even slowing down shortly after making a change. It's just human nature. It's going to take an adjustment period for some people to get adjusted to it until your brain kind of adapts to your new normal. So that's why it's important that we give as much notice to motorists through these various methods and traffic control devices, similar to like what Borica did is probably a good idea to do as well, with some sort of markings or those narrow barrels along the center line just to grab people's attention. There are letters of support in your meeting packets. I did receive a letter of support from Police Chief Columbus. He did have the caveat that he supports it with LED stop signs. And I did get a letter of support from Deputy Fire Chief Gudadaro in support of this change as well. DPW's in support of this. We drive through this intersection being directly next to it constantly throughout the day. So we understand the difficulties of pulling out from Pine Street onto this intersection. We see numerous residents cut through the DPW's parking lot to avoid going through this intersection and rather cut through to exit through the DPW's Whipple Road entrance to avoid this going through this intersection. So a change, I feel, is needed and warranted. So that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, and hopefully I can answer them, and would appreciate to see if the board supports a change to all-way stop control.
All right, I'm going to open out to comments. Mr. Ryder, you want to begin?
Sure, why not? I'm full support of this. My recommendation, everything you stated here is 100% accurate. There is going to be some change. My recommendation, even though this is not going to happen until spring either way, let's get the campaign out now. Like spring 2027, this is coming. And update that as we get closer, whether we get the grant or not. I think it's this intersection it's dangerous. There's no question about it. I agree with the chief. It's very dark there in that night, that section. So if it is a town funded project and we only have the funds, I would say the Whipple Road the non, the throughway now would be the most critical.
Definitely.
Where those other two are already stopped. But ideally, 4 illuminated signs would be the best. But again, I'm a full supporter of this either way. I think it's something that we should move forward. I guess through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Curran, is this something that we could put on for Maytown meeting? That if we don't want to use Chapter 90 funds, let's put that $110,000 in as a warrant article for this.
Yeah, it's possible.
If we don't get the
Yeah.
state grant, let's put the warrant article in, and we could, word it that if the grant is given to the town, the funds wouldn't be needed. I'd be in support of that.
We could use what we did last spring, I guess, what you guys used to do, and take some money out of the stabilization
Yeah,
fund and put it
absolutely.
back in the fall with free cash.
I think that is money well spent. If it can save one injury there, $110,000 is a inexpensive cost for an injury. So full support of it. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Russo?
Yep. I appreciate the presentation, actually, it was very informative. I guess just my only question, because you actually answered a lot of it, just going through the different slides, is, in terms of just any immediate action for any countermeasures now, between now, ahead of next spring, is there anything that you'd be thinking about, or the DPW would be thinking about for now, aside from the project itself?
So one of the obvious things would be to move the stop bars closer now. But the problem with doing that is now all of a sudden you're going to have really wide stop bars because
The radius.
of those radiuses. And then that causes the issue of basically vehicles that are going either straight or left. There's other vehicles that slip around them and
I got you.
causes potential other issues with that.
Okay, so at this point, I mean, I know you, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you did mention that you did do some sort of clearing of those berms, I think, based on maybe just some sort of cleaning of the vegetation. I think you mentioned that at one point, right?
Yeah, it was the corner closest to the DPW. There was some clearing work done there.
Okay, and then,
That improved that northbound looking sight distance from that Pine Street approach a bit.
yeah, I mean, like my colleague, Mr. Wright, I definitely am in support of this. I appreciate the data that you brought to support, the different components to it, and the various sort of conditions you looked through. So appreciate that, full support as well. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Mackey?
Thank you. Mr. Stack, thank you for the presentation. This was a fun read, light reading. So again, I'm not a traffic expert. My recollection was the last discussion was like a little over 2 years ago on this intersection, and it was basically the recommendations from the report. It was the second half of that. So before we were looking at a four-way stop, it was adjust the road geometry, move the stop signs, move the stop bars, tighten that up. I was 100% in favor of that. I do have concerns about adding a stop sign on Whipple just because there's a significant amount of traffic on that road. And in this report, it says, under the recommendations, that if crashes are not reduced with an all-way stop, it may warrant a signal. So if there were, I would be more in favor of a signal that kind of gives deference to Whipple to keep that traffic flowing. Just, again, that's a road I travel all the time, as do a lot of people, in an effort to avoid 38. So I think that's my only concern. Again, anything we can do to improve safety, I'm in favor of. But my understanding from previous discussions with the DPW were that these kind of bottom recommendations of fix that geometry, move the stop sign, move the stop bars, was going to be a significant improvement. Since this report doesn't seem overly confident that this will reduce the crashes with an all-way stop, it may be slower crashes, but if it's not going to be a marked improvement and they're not confident in that, I would like to see us at least explore either the option of tightening up the Pine Street turning radius or what a light would look like there. Because again, my biggest concern driving that road all the time is the traffic backing up on Whipple there, because that's rather arterial. So that's my only feedback. Thank you.
Mr. Holm?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. I'm all in favor of the four-way stops. Now, the lights around the thing, do they blink?
Yes.
Will it hit anybody's homes? I mean, I don't want to have Kramer and the chicken sign guy, you know?
We'd have to look at that. Yeah, I don't know, but we'd have to look into that.
Okay, the other question I have is on the striping of the road.
Yeah.
Because if you see somebody coming down Whipple Road towards Wilmington, the angle crashes because they're turning 20 feet before and they're crossing over where a car is trying to come out.
Right.
You know, is there anything on the striping, or does that extending that corner help?
Yeah, so we're tightening up let me see if I can pull that up. So we're bringing these stop bars in and basically tightening up this intersection, so there's really not the opportunity to cut a corner in front of.
Right, because right
Under the
now
other-
they're cutting 40 feet before the turn even starts.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's also potentially because the stop bars are set so far back that
Yeah.
they see a clear area and feel
Okay,
that.
I'm in full support of it, so that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I got a couple of things. This was brought into us by residents. I mean, that's where the majority of this came from. We got a number of calls into the town manager's office, the DPW. This was resident-driven from the number of concerns and crashes that were out there when we started looking at this a couple of years ago. So I'm in full support of the four-way stop because traffic on Whipple. I was kind of amazed at the numbers that you had, because if you drive down Whipple speeds can be pretty high, and the fact that it was below the speed limit most of the times, I was amazed at that in certain areas. So maybe because of the concerns of crashes in that area, or people being aware of that, they slow down in that area. But having a stop, I think, would be beneficial. It's a quick stop. It's not like you're waiting for a couple of minutes. There's no one coming in the other intersection. You go right on through. I have a couple of concerns, though. The asphalt berm. Asphalt berm you put out there, and if you got trucks and you got snow and ice and you're going to be plowing the things out there, and we're narrowing that with berm. If we narrow it with berm and the plows take away the berm, all of a sudden, we're back to where we were, where it's wide again, and it's just a dirt shoulder. Where it's just, if you're taking it away, is there any option of putting some, maybe around those corners, some granite curbing around, just to make sure that, I know the plow's going to go through there. I know the trucks are going to go through there. And if you have a berm and trucks drive over it, especially where this is sort of a wetlands in some of the areas, that could get compacted. And I know it's costly to put in granite, but in the long run, if you got to keep putting berm and putting berm and putting berm, where's the savings? Is it something that we can at least look at, adding some granite curbing out there? Because it just identifies it that much easier of what's out there, and it just makes people stop. And it's less likely of a truck going over a granite curbing rather than some slight berm that may be going out there trying to go around it. The other thing is once this is coordinated, I'd like the police department does a wonderful job of putting out notices. So even though you're putting out a notification, I'd like maybe even to work with our telemedia department to get this presentation to them. They're doing wonderful jobs with the police department of putting educational things out. And this may be a great place to put educational things out there. I'd like to actually even share it with the schools, because I know there was a couple of crashes that were out there involving high school students. If we can get the kids aware, slow down these intersections, is a four-way stop, and then we'll work with the police department to maybe have a couple of vehicles out there, to make sure it stays into effect. We don't want to be giving tickets, but we also don't want any fatalities. So we want to make sure that this is put in place. The last thing, you cleared vegetation out there, but I'm sure it's sumac, and it's wetlands. That stuff comes back all the time. And, if, while we're out there doing it, if you have any millings or grindings or something like that, where maybe you can put something out there to keep the vegetation down instead of having to go back. I know the DPW gets busy during the year, and a lot of times I get calls that the intersections of Whipple, the trees are overgrown, the grass gets high, the things like that. I know you only have so many staff. So if we can put some preventative maintenances out there at those intersections to stop the stuff from growing, I think that would be a great investment as well. Put something out there to stop the stuff from coming through in the first place. And maybe, it'll save you some maintenance in a way, and make that something that you don't have to constantly be going out there. If we have a four-way stop and the stuff is growing up and you can't see it, I don't want to constantly be getting phone calls that, we put something new out there and you can't see it. So I think that would be helpful as well. Other than that, I think I applaud you for listening to the residents. I want to thank the town manager and your office. A lot of times we get calls of people saying, we want changes, we want things. And I can't tell you how many calls I got on. We'd get a crash out there and it would be all over the place, another crash at that intersection. Like I said, you mentioned that the reported crashes, it seemed like there was a lot out there. I don't know if as many of them got reported or covered or whatever it may have been, but it just seemed like it was a constant dangerous area. And, just like I said, one life is saved is worth a little bit of a slowdown if it needs to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. At this time, I'll open it up to any recommendations from the board on this.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, coupled with yours. I just question, Mr. Curran, should, instead of putting it as a warrant article, do you want to put it within the DPW budget? Either way,
I'd probably do it as a warrant article.
Okay,
'cause it's a
that's fair.
one-time thing. Yeah.
And if that's the case, you're probably looking at about $25,000 in granite for those radiuses. So make a motion.
Granite, yeah.
Yeah, on those corners, you make a motion to bring that up to, $140,000 for traffic improvements at the Whipple and Pine Street as that.
Okay, yes.
And that would allow.
Is that including the granite?
That's included, Greg. Yeah, it's 110, and I figured adding $30,000, bring that up to 140,000. And what that would allow is, I know Mass DOT is not going to pay for granite, but if we are successful in getting the grant, they could pay for some of the other infrastructure, and the town warrant article could cover the cost of the granite.
So if I may, the Mass DOT grant is only for the signage.
Okay, so, all right, so that we would need that funding,
Yeah.
and we would need that funding mechanism anyways. So whatever wouldn't be used would just go back anyways, revert
So,
back.
if your numbers are correct, it's
Yeah, you're going to
10,000
look
plus
about,
25.
you're probably looking about 25,000 for the 4 radiuses, so. But I think it's a great thing, and I make a motion to approve, and again, great presentation.
Thank
All
you.
right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
We're going to get a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
And those against? Opposed, Mr. Mackey. Chair votes aye as well. That passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Good job.
Excellent job. All right, next thing we have on our agenda is an Eagle Scout citation. We received a request. We have a gentleman, Mr. Thomas Michael McCavery, who's going to be an Eagle Scout on the 21st of October, and they requested a citation. But this time I'll listen to any motions on this.
Motion to approve the citation for Thomas Michael McAvini.
We got a motion, second by Mr. Russo. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Congratulations to Thomas Michael.
Next we have is 2026 Select Board meeting dates. Mr. Town Manager, do we get a chance to go through with any holidays and things like that when they're reviewing this thing?
Well, I assume that, I will check, but I'll assume that Paula did that, but I'll check to make
Yeah,
sure.
we always have one. Seems like something always we skip we missed something that happens to go through, but it's just, that's fine, it's just subject to change, we can make it.
Look, Juneteenth. Well, it depends on that.
So my question with that is that I think that that's supposed to be June 9th, just based on, it's the 23rd is the meeting after, so I think that that's intended to be June 9th, which would be the 2 weeks apart, is my guess. Which is also a Tuesday, which is typically when we meet. So I think that that date might just be a mistype.
I'm sorry, so which one, June 19th?
It says June 19th on the draft, but the following meeting would also be June 23rd. And June 19th is a Friday, which is typically when we don't meet. I
Okay,
think that's supposed to be June 9th, just based
Isn't
on
that
the
Juneteenth?
calendar.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's what I'm saying, but
It's Juneteenth, so that is a,
all right, I'll check that.
yeah, June 19th is a Friday, good. So June 9th would be a
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I actually have it on my select board meeting as the June 9th meeting, so, all right,
Jumps out at me.
yeah.
Other than that one, I think, like I said, believe typo.
So do we want to make a correction to make that to June 9th?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2026 Select Board meeting dates with the change in the June 19th meeting to reflect June 9th as the actual Tuesday.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, everyone. Well, what do we got now? Town manager.
Okay, hold on one second. Oh, sorry, hold on one second.
Want us to go to the invoice while you're doing that?
Might as well.
Sure, let's do
Okay,
that.
let's go to the town council invoice. So we got a town council invoice for the amount of $2,847. It's from September 1st, 2025 through September 15th, 2025. I get a motion on this matter?
I'll make a motion to approve town council invoice for $2,847.50.
I get a motion, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Okay. So I guess the biggest news from town manager's report this week is we did hire a new town, assistant town manager's position. And I'm going to try to arrange to have him sit down. I talked to him about coming in before, the next meeting's not till, I think, November 13th. So I was going to try to arrange to have him come in maybe one of these long Tuesdays and be able to meet give him an opportunity to meet with you. His name is Robert Maynard. He's assistant town manager at Stowe right now. Prior to that, he was in Billerica as director of administrative services, and then he served as the assistant town manager there for a while, and briefly as the acting town manager. Obviously, I've worked with him in the past. I hired him in Billerica, and he's very bright, energetic, and I think willing to learn, and I think has a bright future. I think he'd be a great fit here, and I think he'll be good for the community. And he's starting on November 3rd. And he went to George Washington University. I think I sent you his resume. He's currently enrolled in a master's program, and he's finishing up in July. I think he's in the same one. Oh, he's actually in the Northeastern Masters of Public Administration program. So we'll be finishing that up in July. And looking forward to getting him started. So if he starts on the 3rd and Steve is leaving on the 13th, there'll be a 2-week window for him to at least, try to get as much as he can from Steve during that time. So I'll let you know, I'll notify you and try to get some times at your convenience to come in and sit down and meet him before he actually comes in. And I'm looking forward to it. That's the biggest news I have. Let me see what else I got. Halloween was a great success. That happened this weekend. So we just as an update too, as we talked about intersections tonight, we have received some grants through the state, Mass DOT, for rapid flashing pedestrian beacons. Two of them are going up at the school, at the Dewing School, and one's going up at Shawshene and Middle Street. I believe that's an LRTA stop. And we did have our Standard & Poor's call bond rating a Standard Ratings phone call. It was about the bond rating. So we will be borrowing $6.9 million, and that is the $5.4 million and the $1.5 million that you've been borrowing each year for water projects and for meters. This is the last installment of the meter borrowing. So there'll be no more $1.5 million. That was a three-year phase. And so we expect to receive the funds by November 25th. We haven't received our rating yet, but we will soon. I feel pretty good about that. So that's all good news. So you'll see some paperwork that'll come in the next couple of weeks for that. School Facility Study Committee, the committee met on Thursday, voted to delegate the RFP selection process to a subcommittee. And Rich obviously knows all about that. And there's 3 members from the board, and myself and Brenda are on that subcommittee. We're doing interviews on Thursday. We're interviewing 4 out of the 5 highest ranked candidates. And then we'll go back to the School Facility Study Committee next week and try to stay on top of our timeline. So a little tight, but I think we're going to get through it and get it done. So that's good. Trahan project documents will be available at the next meeting. Pretty well finalized, but I want to make sure they were absolutely buttoned up before I brought them into you. And then what's not on the report, but just to give you a heads up, that November 13th meeting will be the night that we do tax classification. So just for a heads up for you, we're going to get that done before so we can the tax rate gets set and everything else. And as you know, it's always, for the general public, not for the board really, is tax classification is really just setting the classification rate, not the tax rate itself. Tax rate actually is set by town meeting when they approve the budget. So tax classification is just how much of that will be apportioned to commercial versus residential. And so that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm open.
I'm good.
All right, thank you. We'll open it up to board member reports. Mr. Mackey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report.
Mr. Hall?
I have nothing to report also.
Mr. Ryder?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Kern actually gave the update I was going to provide, so all good. Thank you about the School Facility Committee.
Good. The only thing, LRTA is having their meeting this Thursday. I would like to share that the Friends of the Elderly are having their breakfast this Sunday. It's at 8:30 a.m. to noon at the Tewksbury Senior Center. Public is welcome. Everyone is welcome to come on down. It's not just for the seniors. It's to raise money to support all the events that happen down at the Senior Center and the Friends of the Elderly. So adults are $10, $5 for anyone under 10, and we invite everyone to come down and join them. So I appreciate that. At that, I will listen to any motions to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russo, second by Mr. Ryder. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. We are adjourned.